How does a chronic condition connect to complex emotional trauma from childhood? I want to talk about my story real quick. Over the past 20 years, I have been working out. Not knowing the link, the connection between my chronic condition, my autoimmune disease of ankylosing spondylitis, to my emotional trauma as a child. Some of y'all may know it as adverse childhood experiences. Now, along the way of simply working out, I have become more mindful, more aware of my body, but also my mind and my spirit. Not knowing in the moment that what I was doing was working towards healing a damaged inner child. Now, I know there's many people out here that have an autoimmune condition. They have some kind of chronic condition. Lupus, could be arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, uveitis. Literally, the list goes on. Now, I'm not saying that there is a cure, but when you are able to actually become aware of the emotional trauma that has damaged parts of your brain, you can start to heal from this emotional trauma, start to connect with your inner child, start to love yourself unconditionally. That is the real healing. That is the real work. See, like I said, I've been exercising for 17 years. And at this moment in my journey, at this time that I'm at, that is the easiest aspect. Being able to lift weights, being able to do a body weight squat, being able to do a push-up against the wall. This is very easy to do. The mental aspect of healing, that sort of work, the spirit work, the mindfulness, being grounded when you become triggered in the moment. That is the hard work. That's the messy work. That is the work that we don't want to do. Failed relationships, whether it be romantic, work relationships, personal relationships become damaged. The personal relationship with yourself is damaged from the get-go because we are not aware that the emotional trauma, the complex trauma that we have been holding inside of our limbic brain, our emotional brain, has been dictating our decisions and our choices instead of allowing us to make wise, conscious decisions. We've been running on an unconscious mechanism. Now, my autoimmune disorder is called ankylosing spondylitis. Now, I know that this is a mouthful, but what this has done to my body over the past 20 years, it has fused my spine together, and it has affected my joints. It's affected my relationships. It's caused me to lose jobs. It's made me have to get on disability. The things that I could do 20 years ago, I can't do anymore. Now, I'm not saying that there is a cure once you heal your emotional trauma. I'm not saying that you're going to be able to go in reverse. My fusion and my vertebrae, the calcification between the vertebrae, the discs, I'm not saying that it's going to just decalcify and it's going to go away and my range of motion, mobility in my spine is going to miraculously come back. What I'm saying is when we heal ourselves from that complex trauma, we can reduce the systematic inflammation. We can reduce the flares and have less pain. None of us want to deal with the pain, the physical pain, the emotional pain, mental, psychological pain that we deal with every single day, the chronic pain, the suffering, the struggling. But there is a link, there is a connection between chronic conditions, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, and our emotional trauma. When we become aware of how we were raised and we start to forgive and we start to do these grounding techniques, we start to pick up healthy habits and get ourselves into a positive headspace with a daily routine, daily positive habits, words of encouragement to ourselves, loving ourselves unconditionally. And this is not going to happen just overnight. We have to be consistent. We have to be driven. We have to be disciplined because this is messy and it's not lateral. Like you see me walking back and forth here. It's going to hurt. It's going to take time. But we have to know that joy is found in the waiting. So most of us don't want to stand in God's waiting room because we don't know when God's going to come through. But we have to know that God's with us right now, right here. That's the spiritual aspect, that there is a higher power, that it's not just you and I. Once we are able to let go of our ego and become humble, we also can make changes in this aspect. It all goes together, hand and foot. Ankylosing spondylitis is one of the worst. Fibromyalgia. There are conditions out there that we think we're going to have to live with forever. We're looking for medicine. We're looking to the doctors. We're waiting in the doctor's room. We're waiting in the emergency room. We're waiting to get those shots. We're waiting to get that medicine. And we get it. And what kind of relief do we have? It's just temporary. The relief that we have is just temporary. And why is it only temporary? Because we have not realized that there is that connection between how we were raised and the childhood adverse experiences that we had and how it links to what we're dealing with today as an adult. We must reparent ourselves, reparent our inner child. We must grow up. It's funny because the limbic brain, the emotional brain, is there with us from the time when we were in the womb. But the prefrontal cortex, where we make wise decisions, even though it can structurally be mature by the time we're 25, 27, it does not actually go into effect until we are able to heal ourselves from that emotional trauma. And we can start to make those wise decisions, become positive in the headspace. Otherwise, we're going to continue to lead to those destructive behaviors. I was an alcoholic for 17 years. I turned to drugs. I lied. I cheated. I stealed. I was a man whore. All to fill the holes that were caused from my emotional trauma. All the alcohol, all the weed, all the pills, the anger, the frustration, how upset I was. I punched walls, punched myself, was in horrible, horrible relationships and never understood why. But God works. God works. It's the reason why I'm speaking this message right here and right now to y'all. Because I'm here to instill hope and continue to make an impact and inspire people and to help guide the willing to become healed from their emotional trauma. I was a fitness coach for almost 15 years. And that itself was me trying to fill a hole, trying to fill a void, to make myself feel better by making others feel better instead of making myself feel better. Instead of loving myself, I tried to love others to make myself feel better. That is what the experts call as fawning. Oh, I'm just fine. As you continue to be a people pleaser and do for others, and you overwork yourself, workaholism. I know what it's like because I've been there. I'm still struggling with it. I'm not perfect. I'm not completely healed. This is why I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you from a personal reflection of my live in-person healing that I'm going through right now. And you start to look back and you see how everything has led to where you are today. That is awareness. That is reflection. You start to have that confidence, that courage to be able to tackle the hardest things in your life. And that is healing from your complex trauma. Every single one of us has some sort of complex trauma. I was bullied in school all the way up until high school. And even as an adult, there's still grown men and women. We see it on the political stage. It wasn't just but a week ago. I put a post on social media at two individuals, grown men, trying to belittle me. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not upset with them. I'm actually sad for them. Because they have yet to realize that because of their complex trauma and the way that they were raised is the reason why they're acting the way that they're acting online to a person that they don't even know. And we're all guilty of some sort of adverse experience and adverse reaction that later on we feel a sense of shame, guilt, regret over. Man, we shouldn't have done that. Why did I say that? Oh, let me try to repair. Let me try to recover. You know, you hurt your partner in a relationship because y'all got into a fight because you said things irrationally. You lashed out instead of properly communicating. You let it boil over. You kept pushing it down until it became too much. And I've noticed the less pain I have is when I have the less stress. So when our body gets flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, it puts us into that heightened state. That sympathetic becomes completely aroused. And if we're completely aroused in the sympathetic state where we're constantly in fight, flight, freeze, fawning mode, we're going to have those heightened states of stress, which is going to negatively affect the body. And it's going to show up later on in life to where we are as adults. But the great thing about this is that the brain can change. Neuroplasticity. Our brain is like plastic. We can literally mold it to how we want it to be. Right now, we're filled with a lot of gray matter from our damaged inner child. But when we create that white matter, the matter that matters, we start to change our life. We change our environment. The people around us begin to become different. It's not the same people. The people who want to lie, cheat, and steal, and do drugs, all these destructive behaviors that wrecks the body, but it somehow gives us this temporary sense of relief. The messy work is in the healing of our emotional self. And as I said, just because I'm going to become emotionally healed from my adverse childhood experiences does not mean that I'm going to become cured of my autoimmune disease. Now, granted, chronic depression, chronic anxiety, other chronic conditions can go into full remission. It can completely disappear. I have a friend that has completely dissolved multiple sclerosis. She has multiple sclerosis no more. It has completely gone away. And she's had that for majority of her life. And I don't even think that she understands exactly how it happened. She thinks it happened by her diet, which is another big aspect. What you eat, what you put into your body. But I don't even think that she realizes that she actually healed herself from her emotional trauma as a child and even as a young adult. Because emotional trauma as a child is one thing. But we also deal with emotional trauma as an adult. But we can change all of this. We can feel better. We can take the chronic out of the equation, and it can just be simply a condition that we're able to easier to manage. I don't like being in pain. I'm so tired of being in pain all the time. But I notice that it's less and less when I'm able to ground myself, when I'm able to do deep breaths and hold my breath and let it out slowly, when I'm able to do my tapping techniques, when I'm able to journal. That's what I want to give back to people. I want to guide the willing to healing. My parents passed away. Imagine your parents passing away before you're even 45. I'm not even 41 yet. Soon, 40. My mom passed away 2 years ago. My dad passed away 5 years ago. I only have a brother with me right now who's 14 years younger than me, which is why it's so critical. There's another aspect, so critical. You got children, you have brothers, you have sisters, aunts, uncles, nephews, nieces that you want to be around for, that you want to help them heal from their childhood adverse experiences or their emotional trauma as an adult. Lost both my parents. All of my grandparents are gone. I have no dogs. But you know what else I have? God brought me my true love, Camille. What did God say? Try not to get emotional, but here we are. And every step that led me to meeting this woman, the reason why I'm speaking to you right now, the reason why I've been able to be on this path in the past 2.5 months from emotional healing from my complex trauma is because of the relationship I'm in with Camille. Now, I had on April 16th, 2026, I had a small, still voice, people call it the Holy Spirit, speak to me and say, go sit down next to her. And I said, what? Why? Repeated itself, go sit down next to her. Okay. It's okay. I said out loud under my breath, I'm going to go sit down next to that woman. And when I did, we felt the pull, the instant magnetic attraction. Now, to rewind back 5 years when I was in San Diego working at a hostel, I met a brother there named Joshua. If it wasn't for me going there, it wasn't for me losing my job in Arizona and taking a leap of faith, going out to San Diego, following my dreams as a fitness coach, ending up working at this hostel in San Diego, meeting Joshua. And then 5 years later, Joshua's working at that hostel. And he tells me, hey, bro, why don't you take a leap of faith and come out here? They had no positions available at that particular hostel, but they did have one in Santa Barbara. And that is where I met Camille. And being with her has allowed both of us to be able to go through this healing journey together, be able to help co-regulate our nervous system. So you got to have people in your life that you can be able to talk to, that you can hug, that you can be around, that's going to help through the healing process, that you can talk to and communicate with. And being with Cam, I know that she's the love of my life and true love. I know that we are meant to be together because of this aspect right here. The amount of journaling that I have done in the past 2.5 months, how much growth that I have undergone in the last 2.5 months, and the recognition between the connection between my autoimmune disease and my emotional trauma is not only helping myself, but it's allowing us to grow stronger together as a couple. Now, we might need some mediation. Other couples might need mediation, counseling, speaking together, being consistent, being disciplined, and remembering why. Remembering why. So I want to leave y'all with this question. How do you want to feel in 5 years? What do you want to do differently? right now? How do you think that you can change your mindset right now? What are you willing to do right now? Are you willing to go to counseling, do journaling, reach out to somebody that you know you should probably reach out to, but you just put it off and you put it off? It's time. The time is now. I appreciate you watching. Thank you for listening to my story. God bless y'all. Peace out.